on this rap-ish. I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list. Hope I ain't missing my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu. And I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody's south of Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and plan to getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. Me? I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
That Dre season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my old flame, I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on. To the hearse, party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete. I'm a verbal athlete, deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
I say to you, community, let's take up space. We weren't supposed to make it through the vast Atlantic or back to the door of no return. So shine like the gold in our skin and the first porch light ever lit. 'Cause we lit and we stay lit. It is with love that everything we touch is ablaze with brilliance. We made jazz and had the blues so hard we're still nodding our heads, but this time we sampled What a Wonderful World. What a way to escape the pain and revel in joy. To the Marsha P. Johnsons who woke up our pride. To the Jimi Hendrix who burned his guitar. For the tennis-playing sisters, for those who didn't make it. And I promise not to fake it. We still want our 40 acres, a mule, and reparations. To the barbers and stylists who still carry on tradition. For the laughter through the tough times, the dead and the living that we hold sacred. To be a people who built empires out of sticks and stones and turned the names they called us into songs. We are still here.
Grand Rising and good morning to everybody out there. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and I'm extending a happy Tuesday to all of you out there. Chelsea said it best. We are still here. Hey, got to give it to my guy, Big O. What up, Big O?
Yeah, we definitely still here. It ain't going nowhere.
That's right, baby.
That's what. Good morning. How are you?
I'm grand. How are you?
I'm doing good. See, popping off the screen again today.
Hey, there we go. The color with this amazing background makes it work, man.
Yeah, for all the backgrounds that we've gone through.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
A real deal. All right. So before I jump into it today, we're joined by the wordy and nerdy Kevin Schofield. You know, Kevin said he's hanging it up December 31st, man. It's his last day, sccinsight.com. So we're going to talk to him, kind of look back on a few things. But, you know, he can't help himself. He's been doing some analysis on this Sawant recall, the election that's happening today. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then, yeah, we got a few things here to discuss. Let me jump right into it. Good morning, everybody. Want to welcome you to the Morning Update Show and remind you that right now is the perfect time for you to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and tag and share the stream with people who you feel would appreciate culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City. Want to give a big shout out to our partners over at the South Seattle Emerald and also KBCS 91.3 over at Bellevue College. You know, you can listen to the Morning Update Show anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. Right now, they got SoundCloud up there, but you know, you can also go to Google, Spotify, iTunes, anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. Just go ahead and search Converge Media Network. A reminder to everybody here in Martin Luther King County that the COVID-19 vaccine is readily available. It's also free. Someone's trying to get you to send the Venmo or the Cash App for the vaccine. You know what I'm saying? It don't quite work like that. Tell them Big O already paid for you. You know what I'm saying? But we got a link there in the comments, man. If you want to get vaccinated, or if you've already been vaccinated and you're looking for a booster shot, or you need to get tested, or if you got questions, you know, there's a lot of people who are hesitant about the vaccine. You can click that link right there and get all hooked up, right?
Yeah.
There's lots of vaccine news, huh?
Yeah, no, there really is right now. And, you know, let's not forget, if you have other issues that really say to yourself, I really am not trying to go to a facility, they can even come to your house in some instances. So they're making it easily available. And we're all learning so much about this. We're all learning together. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. You know, Kevin was like, well, I'm giving this up, but if you ever need anything, let me know. I'm gonna check in with Kevin in like January, February, because like for a long time we were doing the COVID update show and everything else just coming along. We talk about learning along the way. Now somebody's been learning along the way, so maybe we could do something like that. All right, it's time for a little bit of celebration.
Everywhere I go, I'm me.
Long clip.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy.
All right. There it is. Okay, Mr. Doug. You know, Eric's watching. You're going to have to play. Hold on. We're going to do this right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a little celebration.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
All right. Happy birthday. We can, you know, we don't want to get struck, so we can only play a few seconds.
That's right.
Happy birthday, Converge Media co-founder Erik Kalligraphy, man. You know what I'm saying? Want to take a moment to uplift him. And actually, we got some video from Erik that we'll be playing later in the show. Mr. Delgado gave a sneak peek right there and also highlighted some of Eric's work. But yeah, happy birthday, Erik Kalligraphy.
Oh my gosh. Happy birthday, brother. And it's so fitting. I literally just reached out to him via text the other day and I said, man, I just been thinking about you because he put me on to all of these dope artists. And every time I'm listening to them on my headphones or in my car, I think about him. And so I just sent him a message, man. Happy birthday, bro. We love you dearly.
Yeah, I want to say this to him. We'll be talking about Erik later on in the show as well. Really, really proud of Erik. Proud of bro. You know what he's doing right now is, man, he's being intentional in his actions. He has this gun violence disruption campaign called Beloved, and that's what he's been working on now for months and months and months. And people ask, well, how come Erik didn't go to Belize? How come Erik didn't do this and that? This brother is focused, and he's focused on something. We've talked about it. Of all the people here in Converge, I mean, Erik has been so impacted either by family or friends that have been murdered here in the city of Seattle over the last 24 months. And he's taken that emotion and that sadness and everything else, and he's turned it into a positive. And going into 2022, we're really going to be talking about a lot of the campaign stuff that Erik is doing and being intentional about disrupting gun violence here in the city of Seattle.
It's so necessary. And when we talk about people that have been the most impacted being at the center of the solutions, I love hearing that Erik is putting his energy toward an effort like this. We would have talks about how important it was that people from our neighborhood are wielding the solutions, because we understand oftentimes, and the data even supports these ideas, that there's a small amount of people who are involved in this gun violence. And really, when you are known in that circle, when you know people in that circle, honestly, you're going to be connected. So I love hearing this and can't wait to dive in more.
Yeah, no, good stuff. All right, so next up here, shuffling papers today. We got all this stuff. We got iPads, we got this, we got that, we got teleprompter. I'm just old school. I'm a curmudgeon, maybe. Brian Callahan be clowning. He was like, "Hey, man, you guys are using Excel spreadsheets and this and that." No. All right, we got a headline right here. This is from The Stranger. This comes from Rich Smith. I wrote this up over here. It says, with only a day left to vote, renters still appear to lag homeowners in Sawant recall election. And basically what Rich Smith is saying there is that the precincts that have, a high amount of home ownership, those numbers are high. And a lot of those neighborhoods are neighborhoods that one would infer are against Sawant. And the neighborhoods that have a lot of the younger people that are traditionally might be for Sawant, numbers aren't quite there. Kevin touch on it a little bit more scientifically than I'm explaining it. But man, I mean, for people who are wanting to support Sawant, today's the day. You know what I'm saying? This is it. And right now, like I said, the precincts that have high home ownership and things like that in District 3 are showing the highest amount of turnout at their precincts.
Well, this is really interesting. And again, we won't know the full scope of it until after this vote. But this has been so much, pressure and, folks just like, hey, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? For me, living outside of D3, I get to really kind of watch all of this unfold. And it's one of those things where this really is telling in terms of, city dynamics. And so either way it falls, it is going to tell a really strong story.
Yeah, well, you don't live in D3, but D3 is definitely your home.
Come on, now.
There's nowhere you can't go in D3.
That's right.
People like, welcome home, baby. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, as usual, the best message that I can give people out there viewing is if you haven't had an opportunity to vote, make sure and go vote. I believe the cutoff time is still the same, 8 p.m. Yeah, 8 p.m. today. And in D3, there's two boxes that I know for sure in D3, and one's right there at Seattle College on Broadway. The other one right there at 23rd and Cherry at Garfield High School. You can put your ballot in the box. If I wouldn't even play with mailing, but if you're to mail, it has to be postmarked today. The best bet is to go ahead and put it in a drop box. Make sure your vote is counted. I mean, this very well could be a nail biter. We do know that Sawant got a machine, man. Like, people, no matter what, no matter how you feel about Councilmember Shama Sawant and her party, you got to respect the machine. They got a machine that gets out and be in the streets and everything else. We seen that machine is pulled up, and they've been able to rally their votes. So we'll keep an eye on that. And speaking of that, we have a motion graphic here. That's right. Our friends over at Rainier Avenue Radio, Tony B and the gang, they're doing a Sawant recall election show. And we're handing over the studio to the guys from Rainier Avenue Radio. That's 7 p.m. And you can watch that anywhere where you're watching the Morning Update show. And, of course, across all Rainier Avenue Radio platforms.
This is going to be, I'm telling you, it's interesting. And the fact that, hey, Tony B is going to bring his radio voice to the screen once again. And honestly, dive into all the statistics around this. And, I'm glad we have Kevin on today so we can kind of get a preview of, his insight literally into this issue. But hey, tonight, 7 p.m. right here on Converge and everywhere Rainier Avenue Radio is streaming. You guys can hear this show and participate. It's I don't know, man. This is a nail biter, man.
Better Tony B and the crew than me. I mean, I told everybody a long time ago, I don't want to do no election shows. But yeah, so make sure and tune in 7 o'clock. We want to support that. Real serious business right here, Trey Holiday. This is 3:30 today, and this is personal. personal to me and personal to everybody here at Converge. This right here, coming over from Mothers for Police Accountability. All right. It says, Reverend Walden taking a stand against hate crimes by crossing streets again in downtown Seattle. So, you know, people who might not know, it was November 18th. My mom was coming right here to the studio. She was crossing Columbia on First Avenue. And man, she was assaulted. Hate crime. You know what I'm saying? But you know, my mama, feisty as ever, she refused to live in the world of being a victim or live in the world of constant trauma. And so she coming down here at 3:30, and she gonna walk right back across Columbia.
You know, this is something that I know so many in the community have been like, wait a minute, how do we find this person that assaulted? First of all, Reverend Walden is not just your mother. I mean, she is like a mother queen in the community and beloved by so many, one of our beloved elders. And so for those of you that are, you know, looking to support Reverend Walden in this, I know I'm making my way down here. It's important that we actually show up and bring a sense of solidarity around these kinds of issues. But it is another opportunity, honestly, to show to the city and to those who do seek to sow hatred that their hatred will not win. It will not prevail. And so I'm so glad that she's going to be down here doing that same walk again and inviting community to join her.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, you know, we'll be here 3:30. My mom was like, she was like, I need to reclaim my space.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And man, that's what's up. And it's dope because, you know, my mom is real assertive about this, and she's seeking and deserves justice. But also the platform that my mom has, she could also inflame a lot if she wanted to in the city. And, you know, I think that her character has risen to the top here, that yes, she's demanding justice, but also at the same time, she was coming with a messaging around, man, how can we pull each other together? You know what I'm saying? So a real good example there. I got a ton of information, but I don't have a best way to break this down. But all I know is this, and we're going to have more info for it. A few weeks ago here, bunch of black contractors, a bunch of black folks, lots of different coalitions and everything, all the way from Eddie Rye to different black groups, organizations. They sued Governor Inslee in the state of Washington, or they're filing suit. They served him. Governor Inslee in the state of Washington for a long time, discriminatory practices against black contractors going back decades and decades and decades. And man, they want to put a claim out for tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And the governor got served. And Governor Inslee actually this morning is doing some kind of meet and greet with black folk. You know what I'm saying? But the big thing about this, and we're going to get more details for you. I wanted to get Eddie Ryan to show. He actually called me right before we went on air, is that, man, they're going, when I looked at some of these documents, they're going back years and years. They talk about how WashDOT, all these contracts for freeways and everything else, how black people were excluded. And they said that the state of Washington was complicit in it, going back quite a few governors and everything else. This is very big news. It's also Washington, D.C. We'll keep an eye on Washington, D.C. because this very well, there might be a political movement to kick this over to the Department of Justice, for the Department of Justice to investigate here in the state of Washington, the intentional blocking out of black people and black contractors that are here. It's a lot of, I mean, they sent me probably like 600 pages worth of documents. So I don't know a lot, but I do know that the governor got served. The governor responded by having a meeting with some black folk, and he's doing that right now. But it's a big coalition here, and also could be out in Washington, D.C. as well. And spotlight might be on Governor Inslee in the state of Washington, and really addressing what we've been talking about, decades of the chicken dinner.
This is very interesting. And I'll say that because there was community groups that were invited to participate in a meeting this morning with Governor Inslee at 9:30. And then literally it was like, due to unforeseen circumstances, this meeting has to get canceled. And I'm pretty sure it is because of this handoff here and them actually serving Governor Inslee with this suit.
Well, so here's what happened.
He had shift priorities,
Let me tell you what happened. The same day that he made this, he got served I don't have the dates in front of me, and it's all over here, but I'll follow back up. The same day he got served 9:30 in the morning, and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the same day, he organized this meeting with the black folk to come and talk and everything else. And it's supposed to be an in-person meeting as well. The governor is big for COVID and COVID spacing. So, you know what I'm saying? Maybe wanted to be seen with people. I don't know. Be interesting to talk to the governor's office. But that meeting wasn't just like, oh, let me meet with the black folks. He got served at 9:30 that morning, and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they sent out an email saying, let's have it. So it was a direct response to this suit.
It's really interesting because I think there's been so many different talks happening where people are really trying to bring issues to Governor Inslee with regard to Black community. And, when we think about House Bill 1819, we actually have a real case here in Washington State when it comes to Black Americans and the direct disinvestment and the investment in the demise of Black communities. It's very clear. And so this is really interesting. And I guess we'll see how it all plays out. I mean, you're right. This is something that could go to a federal level, to be honest. And, when we think about the ways that we show up, hey, you never know, man.
So, all I got to say is this. Big O been saying this for a long time. You know what I'm saying? For years now here on Converge. I've been saying for a long time, Black people, we need to realize that these guys have been in power in City Hall and in the State House for decades, 30 years, I think, in Seattle. And by the time Inslee's term is up, 40 years in Olympia. This same party, these guys have been here, overseeing this rapid decline, gentrification, you know what I'm saying, decline in home ownership, the education gap, everything else. These people have overseen this. And so it's interesting. And I said this when the governor, when he came with his equity bill, it was like, man, he's been in office a long time. I mean, it's unfortunate it took the murder of George Floyd for it to come with equity bill or whatever. But, it ain't like the governor. There's some people who come and they're not from Seattle, and which is okay. And I'm not going to get in that argument, but you have to learn the dynamics of it. Governor Inslee went to Ingram. You know what I'm saying? I mean, his Governor Inslee, his late father, Frank Inslee, was assistant coach on Garfield High School's basketball team in 1955 when they won their very first state championship. Governor Inslee's dad coached at Garfield. Governor Inslee went to Ingram. Governor Inslee done known the plight of Black people, you know what I'm saying, in this city, and especially the Central District, his whole life. And so, this is going to be interesting. And these problems, I also want to be clear too, this is long term. It precedes Governor Inslee in the office, from all the way from their decisions where they wanted to put freeways and everything else to literally redlining Black businesses and opportunities and all these things. And so for once, there might actually be a real insight into what's happened here in the state of Washington. And we talked about how the eyes have gone dim in Black contractors in this state because they've been systematically excluded. And so, this is one you see, I'm gonna follow this up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, it also goes to a longstanding message that we've been talking about here on Converge around, hey, we cannot expect anybody to hand us anything in these communities. We just can't. The fact that people bonded together to bring this lawsuit to Governor Inslee's doorstep to actually enact some real change. We'll see how it plays out. But once again, it was on the backs of people saying, we won't settle for what we've been given. We know how this system has literally kept us out, blocked us out, and we're going to go for it. So, you know what? Shout out to everybody who's involved in this because it's something that we got to stay on. But, it can really mean some real ramifications for the Black community.
It's going to be interesting how this 1918 plays out. The wordy and nerdy Kevin Schofield, I had him do an analysis on the bill. It was like 7-8 months ago because I wanted to be able to speak at it correctly. And at the time I was saying, hey, this legislation, this bill admits that there was systemic X, Y, and Z. It doesn't quite say that, but it does say that there was policies put in place that were detrimental to Seattle's legacy Black community. House Bill 1918 passed both houses of the legislature unanimously and was signed into law by Governor Inslee in July of 2019. So we'll follow that up. All right, we're going to take a quick break right now. I've got a nice handcrafted motion graphic over there. Next up, there he is, my buddy, the wordy and nerdy Kevin Schofield. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Hey guys, Besa Gordon here, and before heading to Belize, Trey Holiday and I had to make sure we linked up with our good friends over at Market Street Shoes to, of course, grab a few things for the trip. From bags to socks, shoes, sunglasses, earrings, and more. Before going on any trip, make sure you stop at Market Street Shoes. Trust me, you'll find just what you need to make your trip not only enjoyable, but fashionable.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
Pacific Northwest Ballet is thrilled to be back on stage with your favorite holiday tradition, the Nutcracker. Brighten your holidays with this timeless tale, performed by PNB's incredible company of dancers to the live magic of the PNB Orchestra, playing Tchaikovsky's classic score. Treat your loved ones to the Nutcracker at Seattle Center's McCaw Hall. Tickets and health and safety information at pnb.org.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. Joined now on the set by Kevin Schofield. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks this is the first time I've ever been in the studio for the Morning Update. I mean, I lost track of the number of times I've been on the Morning Update, but it's always been remote. I'm just super proud to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's great. Man, I was looking through our archives, man. You've made a lot of appearances. You might be the most appearing guest on Converge. We did lots of specials. We did updates, did interviews. We did, like, when there would be a court ruling, we'd talk to you and be like, hey, what's this court ruling mean?
Yeah. I bring in the nerd every time. It's the best of my abilities.
All right, man. So we're going to talk about a few things. One clearly is this Sawant election. I know you have some insights on that. But first of all, we got you here today because, man, you're moving on.
I'm moving on. So I've been doing this for 6 years, and SEC Insight and doing City Hall reporting. And, I had a lot of soul searching over the summer, and because I talk to you about pretty often. And I just sort of came to the conclusion that it was time for me to do something new, right? That, I got into doing this as a writing project. And I had no idea at the time that I was going to end up being a City Hall reporter. I was looking for something. I was learning to be a better writer. So anybody's learning to write finds out pretty quickly you need to be writing every day, which means you need to find something that's going to get you to write every day. And there's always new stuff going on with the city council. So I said, hey, that's great. I'll set up a website and WordPress site, and I'll just start writing about that every day. And I had no idea when I did that it would turn into this monster that would take over my life.
Yeah. Well, the thing is what started off as maybe as a hobby is all these years later, people in City Hall, like, let alone other people in the general public, but you talk to these people in City Hall, the council members and the staff, or you talk to people in the mayor's office, everything, they're reading your site.
And it blows me away. I mean, I take that as a responsibility, that's very serious to me, that people actually read this. novelist Kurt Vonnegut, before he passed away, said, that he pointed out that reading is hard. Reading is hard work. And so as a writer, if I'm going to ask somebody to read my stuff, I'd really better make it worth their while. And I've taken that to heart and tried to, every day say, wow, if these people out there who are really going to spend the time to read this, I better make it really worth their while. I better make it good. I better bring them something that's worth taking their time on. And, for me, I don't have a journalism background, so I'm not going to out journalist the Seattle Times or Crosscut or any of the really amazing journalists that we have in the city. But I do have this background from working in business for a long time, and being an exec at Microsoft, which means I speak budget and finance and HR and operations and all these things that you wouldn't run the city the way you run a business. They're very different, but a lot of the knowledge that you need to run a business also applies to the city as well. So just knowing how to speak those languages and understand all that data and all these like weird reports that come out, I think has allowed me to sort of tell some stories and kind of explain some stuff in English that it really, a lot of reporters in the city would like to be able to do, but just simply sort of don't have the background and education to be able to do that. So I really tried to sort of make that more of my focus than trying to sort of compete head to head with the great City Hall reporters that we have.
Yeah, we hooked up during the Seattle protests, and the reason that we hooked up is maybe somebody had retweeted you, and I saw a tweet, and I was reading something, and you were explaining what was happening in City Hall in bite sizes, where people could really understand. And I think we started messaging, back and forth, and it really kind of started as you giving an update to Converge, like behind the scenes, like, hey, by the way, Omari, this is what happened. They're getting ready to vote. They're getting ready to do this and that. And this was really important because, like, we didn't have no capacity as Converge to be in City Hall to know what was going on. It was wild up on the hill. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was enough just to be there. Yeah. And then it kind of evolved from like these inbox conversations to like you appearing and being like, hey, this is what's happening. And then like shows and everything. And I bring that up because that was really important during that time, because it was hard for people to follow both things, to really be in the space in the Seattle protests and then understand what's going on downtown. And it was a lot of funny business going on downtown, and you kept your finger on the pulse.
Still is. And, I believe very strongly in being able to democratize access to information, right? There's a small set of people who understand how City Hall works, but understanding how City Hall works is really important if you want to influence City Hall, right? And so, to the extent that I could figure out what was going on and then, partner with you to get that information. A lot of people who just historically have not had access to that kind of information, and just enable a set of people, empower people to engage in a way that they wouldn't before. And just thinking back a couple months ago when you and I did the budget school series, that's another example. Like, the budget is super important to how the city works, right? If you want something to happen that's going to cost money and you don't get into the budget, it's not going to happen, right? But who understands how the budget works, right? So, I really appreciate being able to work with you to get a bunch of really good information in English out to people about, look, this is how this thing works. Here's how you plug in. Here's when you need to plug in. And so that's kind of been my thing. How do we democratize access to how our City Hall works so that we can all be a part of it?
What's crazy is like, it's not crazy. It was to be expected. And I remember even with your other show, you're on Seattle News, Views, and Brews with Brian Cowan. And I was talking to Brian, and I was like, yeah, man, we want to put this show on Converge. It's really educational, and people in our community want to learn about it. And we don't have the capacity to break stuff down. You guys already have a show. And I said, also, we need some diversity at Converge. And, at first, Brian was like, well, I really like Converge and what Converge is doing. But it was like, man, are people really going to tune in and this and that? And it's like, you've built up a following in the Black community. You know, it's like people are like, man, you'd be surprised. They're like, man, what's up with Kevin? What's this and that? And every time we would bring you on to explain something, because a lot of times what we get is sound bites, or we get hype from different points of views, and nobody just to break things down.
Yeah, and that's that really sort of gets me in my core. And I'm super appreciative again that anybody would read my stuff and listen to me when I come on, because who the hell am I, right? But I think it really just warms my heart to think that this is part of how I could be a good ally to the Black community in Seattle, and help us all just get better information and be better plugged in. And if I've helped some people to do that, then I think that makes me feel good. That makes me sleep better at night, right? Because there are just these incredible inequities in the city and in our nation and the world. And one of them is information access, right? Who gets educated about this stuff? The people who get the better education about this stuff are the ones who can have a bigger impact, right? And so I want to help people get educated. And my site, SEC Insight, I've never charged anybody for access. There's never been a paywall. It's always been free to everyone, always, because I want everybody to have access to this stuff. I'm not writing for the Seattle City Hall insiders, and God knows there's a lot of them. They reach out to me, and some of them read the site. That's great, but I'm not writing for them. I'm writing for the people who really don't understand how City Hall works, because they're the ones I think who really need this information and can make a difference to them.
I would point to one very clear, specific example, and that's something that we published months ago, when we said the money is on the streets. Here's all the different things. It broke down where all the 100 million from the mayor's, 30 million here, 10 million here, down to every single document that was related to it, down to the budget, and it felt good to be able to put that out into the community and say, here's all the information that's out there about this money and this $100 million. For absent of political viewpoint, these are the facts, and this is where it's at. And you were real instrumental in helping put in all of that, compiling all that information. And we're able to tell community, it's like, now it's your job. Now it's your turn. Now you guys need to figure it out.
Yeah, and SPD budget too. Just, the SPD and the city are really good at obscuring the details of where all that money is going. Even the city council has a hard time figuring out where all the SPD budget money is going. So just being able to break it down and say, this much is going to salaries, right? This much is going into equipment. And there's lots of myths out there. A lot of people think that, SPD spends lots of money on militarized equipment and facilities and all, and really almost all their budget goes into salaries, but they're paid super, super well. And they have, a strong union, for better or for worse. And a lot of days it's for worse. SPOG, their union, which has negotiated really good compensation for them, right? But this is one of the places where you look at a union and say, we can love unions, and workers absolutely need to be able to organize. But, are there cases where it goes too far? Are there cases or contexts like police and public safety where they just have too much leverage, right? And then how do we balance that out to do the right thing, right? And those are hard policy questions. That, what's been most enjoyable for me over the last 6 years in doing this is really to dig into a bunch of those policy questions, and not even necessarily to have an answer, right? They say Albert Einstein once said, every complex problem has a solution that's simple, straightforward, and wrong, right? It's really, really easy to come up with simple solutions to complex problems that are wrong. And it's a point you have to step back and say, not every complex problem is going to have a simple solution. And in fact, it may not have a solution at all, but if it does have one, there's a reasonably good chance it's going to be complex, right? But we can't be afraid of the complexity, right? We have to figure out how to understand it and explain it in English so we can all be part of that conversation. And so, what I've tried to do with a lot of the kind of the big issues, everything from like, why did the West Seattle Bridge break, to the budget, to what's going on with SPD, to, the criminal justice system, to, all sorts of other, rent control, is say, look, this is a complex problem. Here's the details. Here's the facts behind it. We can kind of wallow in the complexity of it, and we don't really have to turn it into a simple thing, because people are smart. People can actually understand complexity if you take the time to explain it in English.
Yeah, real deal. Before we let you get out of here, what you were breaking down, I kind of alluded to it a little bit when you're talking about Sawant and what these numbers are looking like this morning that King County elections released.
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing we all need to know about elections in this city is, we do mail-in, drop-box ballots, and a huge proportion of those ballots come in on election day. So today, a lot of those ballots are being dropped in the mail, and they'll show up at King County elections over the next couple of days. A lot are being putting in Dropbox. They won't be in tonight's count. They'll be in maybe tomorrow's count or the day after, because they still have to verify all the signatures for that. But a huge number of the ballots are coming in today. But we still have data from King County elections as to what came in yesterday and in the days before that. And that tells us a little bit about what's going on. So when you look at the data about the ballots, and they don't list, here's the name on this ballot that came in, but they do say, the age range of, sort of 10-year blocks of, in aggregate of the ballots that have come in, and they do say which precincts they've come in from. So we know a little bit about who's voted so far in this election, and it follows trends that we've seen before, which is that older voters, who tend to be the more moderate voters in this city, vote early, right? And younger, more progressive voters tend to vote either the day before or on election day. And so that's why when they start doing the counts, like they'll start doing tonight, it always starts a little more moderate, and then we see kind of a left shift in the days that follow, because the ballots that come in today, it takes a couple of days for them to count those, right? And those are going to be the more progressive ones. What we've seen so far follows that trend very well in District 3, right? That kind of the older, possibly richer, more moderate neighborhoods voted early, and sort of the core Capitol Hill, the denser areas where the younger, more progressive voters have not really voted yet. And the big question, so, my takeaway from that is, you look at this data and say, there's no reason to believe that Sawant couldn't get recalled. She may not get recalled, and it all depends on what happens today with those votes. So, and then you look at the data from yesterday, and, I'm a little suspicious, because King County elections, they've got a ton of work to do right now, and they just finished, an enormous election cycle. So they're probably still pretty tired, and maybe still partly on vacation from that. But you look at those numbers from yesterday, and if they're right, if they're not just sort of, a partial count from yesterday, the younger voters haven't started showing up yet. Again, they could today. There's no reason to believe that it could absolutely go either way. But as of yesterday, it didn't really look like the younger voters were showing up in big numbers yet.
Well, I like to think I'm a young voter, and I always vote election day at the box.
Let me just say one more. Let me say one more thing that I thought was really interesting. So the 2020 census numbers haven't come through with kind of all the age demographics for Seattle or any of the districts yet. But I got yesterday morning from King County Elections the demographics of the 77,000 registered voters in District 3. Turns out about 30,000 of them are younger than 35. About 30,000 of them are older than 45, and about 15,000 are in that 35 to 45 block, right? So equal numbers, younger than 35 and older than 45. And we basically know kind of in aggregate how those groups are going to vote. And then we got this swing group in the middle of 35 to 45. And it's like, how are they really going to vote? hard to say on an election like this how they're going to vote. So there's a school of thought that says it's really going to come down to 35 to 45, but that all depends on whether the younger voters actually show up. We know the older voters are showing up. Like already, of the voters, registered voters older than 65, almost 65% of them have voted already. Whereas in the 25 to 34 range, like only 30% of them have voted. And again, those are the ones we expect to vote on election day, to vote today. But so far, there's a big difference. The older voters have shown up, and the younger ones haven't shown up yet. But it may come down to the swing group in the middle, 35 to 44.
Well, I mean, as usual, I tell people, man, no matter where you are on this issue, vote.
Vote.
You know
Absolutely. You got to vote. This is a celebration of democracy, right? I don't live in District 3, right? I don't get to vote on this, but I love the fact that the voters of District 3 get to decide who represents them. And they may want Shama Sawant to represent them. They may want somebody else to do that, but it's their decision, and we got to celebrate that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Ben, Kevin, I'll say this is that I know you're not going anywhere. I think you'll be around. But man, it's been a pleasure, and you have contributed so much to Converge. And I remember when we were up there at Columbia Tower that day, and it was explaining to people that information, it's something like the Seattle protest, if we're lucky, once in a lifetime. But when we needed you and we needed to get this information out and everything, you never said no. And you actually put in a lot of overtime. And I mean, there's so much stuff I learned. We get these federal lawsuits. What is this? You know what I'm saying? And here 20 minutes later, well, okay, the lawsuit says X. I mean, there's so many things. If we were to look back through the timeline, so many things. And man, you brought so much over here to Converge. And just on behalf of all my colleagues here, I just want to tell you thank you.
Well, thank you for that kindness. That just means an enormous amount to me. And I want to thank you in return, both for what you're doing for the city and for the Black community, because I can see that it's just incredibly important and impactful. And thank you for taking a chance on me, for handing me the microphone and giving me a chance to speak to your audience, because it's an important audience. It's a set of people that are really important and valuable to our community as a whole. And it has been a privilege to get a chance to speak to your audience, to speak to the Black community, hopefully in an authentic way that most people don't get. And I've really tried to take that super seriously and use that opportunity wisely. So thank you.
My man, Kevin Schofield, appreciate you. We're going to take a quick break right now. We come back. Trey Holiday returns to the set. We're talking about Erik Kalligraphy. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Hey guys, Besa Gordon here, and before heading to Belize, Trey Holiday and I had to make sure we linked up with our good friends over at Market Street Shoes to, of course, grab a few things for the trip. From bags to socks, shoes, sunglasses, earrings, and more, before going on any trip, make sure you stop at Market Street Shoes. Trust me, you'll find just what you need to make your trip not only enjoyable, but fashionable.
From Lincoln Center Theater that brought you The King and I and South Pacific comes a revival of the most perfect musical of all time, My Fair Lady.
Playing the Paramount Theater December 28th to January 2nd. Tickets at stgpresents.org.
Pacific Northwest Ballet is thrilled to be back on stage with your favorite holiday tradition, the Nutcracker. Brighten your holidays with this timeless tale, performed by PNB's incredible company of dancers to the live magic of the PNB Orchestra, playing Tchaikovsky's classic score. Treat your loved ones to the Nutcracker at Seattle Center's McCaw Hall. Tickets and health and safety information at pnb.org.
All right, welcome back to the morning update show. There's emotional moments here behind the scene. Huh? What were you saying, Trey Holiday?
I just said that, honestly, I had so much that I wanted to say to Kevin. And, publicly, I just got to say that I agree 100%. Kevin's been such an amazing addition as he entices us with his last homemade cookie. They were great, Kevin. And such an amazing addition to the Converge output. And honestly, to hear his words to say that he's so grateful that, we took a shot on him and just gave him the microphone and allowed him to address this really important audience meant a lot to me. Oh, Kevin, we're going to miss you. We're gonna miss him so much, and like you, I have learned a ton, things that I didn't have time to dive into. It was like Kevin was on it, man, and so I just know his energy and everything that he has been giving is going to be missed. But I'm also glad that he's taken this time for himself, realizing how big of this monster it became for him, and to really focus on himself. So much love, Kevin.
Yeah, and I'll say this is it. I mean, we gonna keep taking a chance, if that's what it's called, for all the people who never took a chance on us. We're kind of obligated. You know what I'm saying? When you live your whole life being the underdog, nobody taking a chance, nobody want to risk anything, nobody want to put their name out there for you and everything else, nobody want to come to your defense if need be. If you've been that guy your whole life, then that's just how it be. And it's like it's crazy because Converge is like it's two lanes. You know what I'm saying? We've got this super swaggy Converge, and then we got a whole nother side, especially on our production side. You know what I'm saying? It's a motley crew. You know what I'm saying? Like some of these guys, you know what I'm saying? They come from all shapes and sizes and backgrounds over here. And it's all just people who just, man, needed a shot. And I think one thing that I know we for sure that I will claim and own as a company is that we're really good at spotting talent, and talent comes in all shapes and sizes and colors and backgrounds and orientations and everything else. And I'm really proud that you'll find that here at Converge, you know what I'm saying, across the whole spectrum. My good friend, Renee Ricchetti, we get ready to do a show with Renee. Something she just hit me about, wanting to do a show on whatchamacallit, Renee, who writes for the Seattle Gay News. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was Kevin Schofield, Marcus Harrison Green, Mike Davis, Erica C. Barnett, Brett Hamill. I mean, it goes on and on. Justin Carter. All the different people, man. You know what I'm saying? One way or another, either a one-time
Brian
contributor
Callanan.
or continues, Brian Callanan, everything else, man. You know, this will always be a space for that. I don't never want Converge to be a space where we ain't willing to take a chance on something.
You know what? And that's one of the things that makes Converge one of the most unique media outlets in the entire city. And I think for me, I'll say country, because it is really doing something that is bringing people together, because so many people care about the issues that we breach here on Converge. And honestly, I have seen the most amazing talent come through these doors. And you're right, that there is a real opportunity for folks who are looking for that shot. You know what I mean? Hey, come and show yourself. I mean, you have given your email out there. You said, look, if you know of young people who are looking to get involved, just start off. We got some things they can do. They'll learn how to do some audio, how to get some video in. We have really shown that we are here for the community, and it's really been a benefit to all of us. I agree with you 100%.
Oh, good stuff. All right, we got one or two more things here before we get out of here. You know, again, today is Erik Kalligraphy's birthday.
Yeah.
Man, Erik's a tough guy to actually get on tape, and this was a year and some change. We're at the old studio, and I had to sit down with Erik, and you know, my question is like, you know, to him in this clip was, how does he separate being, you know, Erik photographer to like being in Converge, you know, because especially at that time, it was difficult. You know, everything was just rolled kind of into one. But this is Erik right here.
Everywhere I go, I'm me. You know what I'm saying? So everything I do, everywhere I work, everything I put my effort into, I am me. You know what I'm saying? And what I do is a direct reflection of who I am. And I don't think it's hard to find. There's not a separation there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing it for likes. I don't even like being on camera, as you know.
It's tough to even get you to sit down today.
Oh yeah, it was a trick. Come to the office. But, you know, I do it because I have passion for it, because I care about it, you know, because I enjoy doing it. If I didn't enjoy doing any of it, I'd go find something else I enjoy doing, because that's how you become unhappy doing things you don't enjoy. And I refuse to be that person again.
Wow, our brother. Shout out again to you, brother Erik. I mean, one of the most genuine people I know, and honestly, always yourself through and through. And I know that just like me texting you the other day and you responding, I know that you're always there at the end of the day. And so I love to hear all the amazing things you're doing. Can't wait to dive in deep. Thank you so much for pouring your energy into something that's so necessary. And thank you for everything that you have brought here to the Converge team. Phenomenal person.
Yeah. Do you have a minute or two to go over
do.
that? Okay, great. We got a slideshow. It's actually a year old right now. You know, I'll tell you, Erik's been on the grind working on this project, this gun violence disruption project. But this was so dope when he submitted it. We thought we'd play it again for you now.
Oh my goodness. I remember this slideshow. And honestly, looking at it again, I just, the thought was ringing through my head. People who say there's no black people in Seattle, they just need to see that slideshow, okay? Because I'm telling you right now, not only are there amazing black people here in Seattle, but we are such an amazing family, thick and thin, don't matter what side of the coin you sit on. I mean, looking at that black beauty right there, it just is such a reminder. And I was getting all like a little teary just thinking about how blessed I am to be a part of such an amazing black community here in Seattle that has really grown me to the woman I am today. All of the people in there, brothers and sisters alike, I'm telling you, hey, love to all them people. And shout out to you, Eric, for putting that black beauty together like that.
Yeah, well, Eric might have just got a picture of all the black people. See, that might be it right there. Yeah, happy birthday, Eric, man, for sure. Before we get out of here, we got a few more things here. One is Soul Market. We got a motion graphic for that. We'll put that up right now. Tell us all about it, Trey Holiday.
Soul Market coming to Pier 62 with our good friends at the Waterfront. They are bringing together some amazing organizations and vendors that are going to be down there. Shout out to Africa Town, who's been helping to collaborate with the Friends at the Waterfront for this amazing event. I know it seems like it's been years in the making because COVID shut things down, but these guys were resilient and persistent to be sure that we got space for black vendors. That's happening on the 11th and the 12th. If you guys are looking to support black businesses, get out there to the Soul Market down there on Pier 62 and buy some amazing holiday gifts that are going to be unique in nature for your friends and family.
Yeah, no, for sure. And actually on Sunday, the 12th, from 12 to 2, Besa Gordon and G. Prez Aspie, they'll be streaming live. They'll be broadcasting live from there. They partnered up last time we were down there at the Waterfront, did a great job. So they'll be live from Saturday from 12 to 2. Then I don't see it on the sheet here, but let me know if you see it. You see a G. Prez? Yeah, so go ahead, play that.
Oh, my guy, my big bro, G Press is going to be holding it down this Friday for Feel Good Friday. And I got to say, man, I couldn't have a better person filling in for Feel Good Friday because G Press always brings the feel good energy, man. So you guys are in for a treat this Friday as G Press is going to be sitting down with some of the vendors that are going to be there at the Soul Market, really giving you an in-depth perspective. I'm so glad that he was able to make that happen, man. It's going to be a dope show.
Yeah, my understanding is Black Santa's going to be up in here too.
It's popping.
So Feel Good Friday is going to be real nice. G Prez Aspie hosting that. And another quick reminder here, this is tonight at 7 o'clock. The serious thematic music. 7 o'clock, Sawant Recall Election Show. Presented by Rainier Avenue Radio. It's the takeover. Rainier Avenue Radio, they're taking over the studios in a 2-hour show, following up on the recall. Better them than me.
Yeah, no. You know, some real in-depth insight. It's necessary, man. This is tight. This is gonna be a tight one.
I'm on my way to go to Ashley McGirt to her wedding down in Virgin Islands. That's what I said. Better you guys deal with this. All right, Trey Holiday. We're over time. Any last words before we get out of here?
I just got to say, in Kevin's legacy and what he's been able to do with SEC Insight over the last 6 years, you guys, he was somebody who filled a void, saw a need, and stepped in to do the work. And I just hope that you guys are inspired once again to see yourself as a part of the solution as Kevin Schofield has in such an impeccable way. Maybe you can't do all of the research that Kevin could, but your perspective could lend some real insight to those who need to be educated and informed. Find a way to see yourself as part of the solution.
Yeah, no, for sure. Good stuff. And again, man, thank you, Kevin. Thank you for everything that you've added here to Converge. Us personally, but also thank you to how so many people out there in the community are able to take many things that are complex or perceived to be complex and break it down so people can understand it. And I think that's going to be part of your lasting legacy here. There's so many people in our community that we were able to bring into the system. we're able to bring into the process because we were able to explain the process. And so there's so many people who before, maybe I'd bug you out. I was like, this guy's watching our analysis show. This person's doing this and that. And people who never voted and people, man, when you say democratization of information and access is important. Thank you very much. On that note, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
You're going to be flying solo tomorrow.
I know.
Because I'm flying out of here tonight.
Right on.
You know what I'm saying?
I'll catch up with you.
Yeah, I'll catch up with you in the Virgin Islands.
There we go.
There it is right there. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, I want to remind you to go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity, and check Trey Holiday tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.